reading about the men's squad, and I know we want to focus more on athletics in whole, but back in '99, where you had a 17-3-1 record for men's soccer there, back in '02, a 15-5-0. Let's say in '02, 5 years ago, and if you finished college in '80, I think I saw, and you've been coaching since '84. I mean, not to date you, but you're at least in your mid-40s, possibly even late 40s there.
Late 40s, you're right.
Think back to mid-40s, or when you're out there with these athletes, student athletes, that are between 18 and 22, are they pushing you as well? Are they playing around with the coach and saying, you know, you can't get out here and run with us, you can't keep up with us? Right. Is there a need for coach? I mean, should coaches be expected to be able to kind of keep up with their athletes? It's difficult enough trying to think about text messaging.
You know, first of all, you're really asking, I think, two different questions. You know, their old saying is, you know, did you have to play the sport to be able to coach it?
Right.
And, you know, that is what most people believe. And I do think that brings a big credibility to that scenario. But, you know, you can go back years and look at people that are, you know, in Major League Baseball that never played in Major League, but they're in minor league. And,
right.
you know, I think the biggest thing for a coach to be successful is, can they teach and communicate the techniques, the tactics? And that isn't necessarily always the person that was the best player on the team. That isn't, it could be,
right.
but that doesn't necessarily have to do with how well their individual athletic career was.
Right.
From that, I think, you know, Bobby Knight's another good example of that. He was only a backup, and I know and that actually, people
right.
talk about that sort of chaffed him at Ohio State. People
right?
maybe drove him because he thought maybe he should have started when he was a senior and he was only a backup, but that might have drove him to how hard he drives certain things.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think it comes down to teaching. I think you really are a teacher out there, and if you're not able to teach, you're not able to communicate and get your points across, it really doesn't matter how well you played the game
right.
or did not play the game.
Right.
And so I think that's really important. When I look to hire a new coach, which I've had to hire several since I've been athletic director at Francis Marion, you know, one is, you're looking for a presence in that coach. You're looking for a passion. You know, if they're not passionate, I will not tell a coach what they need. You know, if it's, let's say it's basketball, whether they have to press zone. I'm not into that, but I want them to. I'm looking for can they communicate their style,
right.
what they want to try to accomplish? Can they communicate what they're trying, what type of student athlete they're going after, the
right.
recruiting? They need to be able to articulate that and have a passion about it that comes through.
Yeah.
If they can't, then, you know, there's going to be issues, I think, relating to the student athletes.
And to get to that, you go see them in their own environment, see them interacting with the student athletes whatever school they are before they come to you, or do you give them a chance to interface with your student athletes to see if they'll be able to get across? That must be a difficult process to find out. Well, you know, visiting Ohio, let's see, and seeing somebody at your old school.
Well, I'll give you a good example. The best scenario is obviously you get to see them, then they also you obviously interview them, you're able to talk to people on. I'm a firm believer that you don't just talk to people on their reference,
right.
but when I get serious about a candidate, I let people know, hey, I'm going to call people, you know, if there's somebody I can't contact you, but, you know, I'm going to call people that have worked with you, but they're not going to be on your reference list, because
right.
if they're going to be on your reference list, I would hope they're going to give you a good reference.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to find out everything I can and do due diligence and homework. Coach Heather Macy, we just hired, women's basketball coach, and I think she's going to do an outstanding job for us. You know, she first came across the radar is when Francis Marion played against her when she was head coach at Pfeiffer. So you watch her, you're impressed by somebody. And I think just like the coaches are my team.
Yeah.
All right. The athletic, they have their team, their basketball team, and it's not. Well, I shouldn't say it's their team. It's the athletic department's team. It's the university's team.
Right.
But then the coaches are my team, and you know, as coaches, they're always out there looking for student athletes, recruiting people from that. I think as an athletic director, you're always noting, you know, up-and-coming coaches. You're trying to keep your eye on things. You know, you want your coaches to be successful, but you're always planning for the future. Another good example is Gary Edwards. We hired him as the men's basketball coach 2 years ago, and again, I think he's got the program going in the right direction.
Superstar, yeah.
But I interviewed an assistant coach at another university, a Division I university, and I was very impressed with him from that. Unfortunately, I didn't think he was the right fit at the right time.
Right.
But, you know, he's somebody I told him straight out, and I told him exactly why I made the decisions, and I'm going to be watching his career because I think he's going to be an outstanding coach. I just think he wasn't the right person for us at that particular time. And so, you know, as an athletic director, you're always watching your personnel. You're trying to strive to have your personnel be as successful as they possibly can. But people leave coaching professions for all sorts of different reasons and move on. And I think you want to constantly be looking at people so you have an understanding.
I love that analogy of your 12 coaches as your team.
Exactly.
So you haven't given up coaching, clearly.
No, I don't think you. I don't think you can. And I'll tell you something else that I told my coaches this 2 weeks ago in the thing. I said they need to learn from other coaches. I encourage them. I know I learned a lot just going in and watching a coaching methodology, sitting down and watching a men's basketball coach run his practice and look at the methodology and look at what they were trying to teach and get across and taking content. So I'm encouraging that. And so I hope to be able to, you know, coach the coaches, so to speak, be able to help them. But I'm also trying to learn from them and then try to, you know, build that team together. I think. And I use this analogy to them. I don't know, in public, the University of Tennessee has done a great job with having a family atmosphere for their athletic department. If you look at the softball World Series, and when they were out there, who was down there? Fulmer and Summit. Okay, when 2 years ago, when Bruce Pearl was hired, where was he? He was in the stands for Summit's Sweet 16 games. Peyton Manning wrote a note to the star pitcher on the softball team saying, "I watched you, I followed you," and from that. And so that's what we're trying to do in the Francis Marion University Athletic Department. Is we're all part collectively of a team. You know, the coaches were all, it's not just the basketball program or the soccer program. And then we also fit into the university's mission. And so how do we support that university's mission? And there's a number of different ways you do that. And so that's, you know, my job is to form our 12 teams collectively into a team that supports the university's mission.
And of course, real critical there is making sure everyone recognizes you're not only focused on men's and women's soccer, but the other 10 sports which you hadn't been coaching or hadn't been instrumental in launching in the university. And that's probably a bit of a chore. I mean, to make sure that your focus is very even on everyone, particularly the two that are now moving into Division I, which are not men's and women's soccer, right?
No, well, it's women's soccer and men's golf. Women's soccer and men's golf.
Great.
You take one of each gender. And you know, and it is, you know, that's a balancing act. That's really important that coaches, I don't like to use the word fair because I think it's impossible to be fair in life. Everybody has their own idiosyncrasies, but I think what we really try to do is be equitable. You know, and are we treating our student athletes and are we treating every coach with our resources that we have available equitably? And as I think coaches would recognize at Francis and Marion, as they've had success, I'm also a firm believer, you know, as a program gets more successful, you know, now you want to keep making more investment into it, you know, and do that. And so I've always a firm believer is don't tell me what you can't do, tell me what you can do. And then as you show me what you're doing with those resources and you're being successful, then we're going to, you know, work hard. I know Dr. Carter feels that way, to keep invest more resources into you. And to what's going on that serves the mission of the university.
And you're seeing that a lot over your 13 years at Francis Marion, a heck of a lot of investment as they've seen your success. A heck of a lot of investment back in, both from alumni, from the state, from other folks who find ways to plow dollars back into Francis Marion. You're seeing that now. We've got just a few minutes, and we want to highlight some of those great things that are happening on campus for viewers who may not have been out on the campus recently. And I know school starts, you said, 8/22 and just a couple of weeks, but for folks who haven't been out there, why should they come out and visit Francis Marion University?
Well, there's a number of things. They have been on campus recently. The School of Nursing that just opened a brand new building last fall. We're going to start construction on a fine arts center downtown in Florence. We had a gift both from the state and a private donor for the Bruce and Lee Foundation. Center for the Child is going to start construction, open. That is going to be great for our psychology and for our education observing students, but also being daycare for our faculty and for other people in the community. That construction is supposed to start here, I think, January 1st, but it's supposed to be open by next fall. We've built in the lab. We just opening this fall. They're putting the furniture in right now. 250 more what we call the villas, really village-style apartments. They're very nice, and that'll make 500 in the last 4 years. A new grill for the students to eat at, giving us another opportunity other than a dining hall, outdoor swimming pool. Under Dr. Carter's leadership, we've been very successful, and just look at the landscaping that's happened in really changing the physical appearance.
Oh, yeah.
And then in athletics, we've been able to purchase. We're directly across the road, another 100 acres that we have schools committed, and we're looking at 2010 to building. By that time, to start building construction of new baseball field, new soccer field,
tremendous.
Across and softball fields across the road. When I say across the road, it's directly across from the school. It's really connected.
Right.
From that, so we're very excited about that. And again, I think that's the school, the community putting an investment in athletics, and so we're really excited about that.
And of course, for so many folks who haven't been out to Francis Marion, it's real easy to find. It's right off of, is it 52 or 76?
76-301.
That's right,
76-301.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're coming out from the beach, just straight down 501 turns into 76-301, and you're going to run right into the school. Can't miss the big electronic sign right there at 327.
Right.
You turn in there. And what most people are surprised, because the way the corner is, you see only a brief, small part of the college on that corner, and they don't realize that we're now over 400 acres.
Right.
And until you turn back in, and it's a very gorgeous campus. The physical plant does a great job of keeping the grounds up.
You yearn over the next few years to make that move, to try to add 2 more programs and make the move to move everything into Division I?
That's clearly a direction we're looking. I think in the administration we did a smart move by taking the 2 sports Division I. We've learned about the process, learned about the rules and regulations that we need to follow.
Right.
And so I think that was a smart step for us. Clearly that is the road that we're going down to look at taking all our sports teams Division I. It's really a matter of making sure that we have all the personnel and all the resources in place, also making sure we find the right conference affiliation for us to get in. And so I think, and tying those in with the outdoor facilities we're building. So I would say, you're looking, hopefully if things go well, we're looking at that type of same time frame where we start construction in 2010, that we're making the same move with the rest of the teams at about the same time.
Great. Murray, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Sorry
My
we're
pleasure.
running out of time. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Murray Hartzler coming up next. You think it's a tough thing making that transition from full-time men's soccer coach into full-time athletic director? You and I would think it's a tough thing. This is something he's done before. He's made big transitions. Arrives here in the PD in 1994 to take over as the head men's soccer coach at Francis Marion. What does he do the next year? He kicks off the women's soccer program right now in the throes of expanding these 12 teams possibly into more opportunities on campus, but moving 2 teams into Division I athletics. It's a big deal. NCAA, those are key words. Other key words, fmarion.edu, fmarion.edu, or what Murray talked about, an open door policy at Francis Marion and in the athletics department. 843-661-1240. That's the athletics department phone number. Give them a call. Learn more about Francis Marion University. It's tremendous athletics department, and it's tremendous student athletes. Go online, fmarion.edu.